needed to trip the breaker again so that she can have power. So I think that was the issue. And I had a discussion with Miss Moss that you're not allowed to give keys to other people like this, but it's up to you, because if you want to do that, you
Not so close.
okay, if you want to do that, definitely it's your right, but it's not something that I prefer, that you give keys to someone, because if anything gets lost or something, you don't want me to be responsible for. Anyway, so that was the story, that it was not about any lock issue. It was about the issue that she needed access in apartment number 5 to trip the breaker.
One of the, I think, complaints that Ms. Eng has raised is that there wasn't a 24-hour maintenance person or someone to be able to go into either number 5 to flip the breaker, and that was one of the things that the building inspector was pointing out as a potential violation.
Mm-hmm. So yes, for that one, so Mr. Samples mentioned that if it is a 12-unit property and there is no 24-hour maintenance person, you need a 24-hour maintenance person for the property if the circuit breaker is not, I think, if the circuit breaker is not installed in that unit or in any unit. So Leslie Vipont, she was a 24-hour.
Not so close. Can I have you move it back a little bit?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Leslie Vipont was a maintenance person who was appointed there until March. So she was a 24-hour person. So any kind of problem, she was appointed to do that. After she left, April was the month when I was doing the stuff. But in the meantime, she already took the keys from the tenant at apartment number 5 to take care of herself. In the month of May, I had Sean Ruffington, and she was also a 24-hour maintenance person. And after May, starting June, I had another guy who was living there. He is appointed as a manager. So I took care of the violation that Mr. Sample told me, and he had no issue right now. I mean, he basically said, okay, if it is like that, you need to make sure that this is what you need, and that violation is waived now.
Okay. And all right, thank you, Mr. Akbar. Ms. Eng, are you prepared to respond now?
Yes. How's the microphone? Is that good?
It's good. Yeah, I can hear you fine. Sometimes when we get too close, they give us some feedback.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank the court for holding jurisdiction on this type of a small claim, and thank you for the learning opportunity for all of us. I think that what we needed all along was a forum where everyone could feel safe to talk about the issues. I think one thing with the as-is status is that I was not informed about this circuit breaker problem. Mr. Akbar had purchased a very lovely, I think it's an economy but full-size fridge, a really shiny chrome, beautiful, a beautiful fridge. And Leslie Vipond and her boyfriend hauled it up one day. And I believe a lot of our circuit breaker overcharge was due to us in the shed in the back selecting this beautiful fridge, but who wouldn't want a full-size fridge for lettuce and things like that? So we were given the option. I asked for that fridge to be removed as soon as we put 2 and 2 together that this was partially responsible. The microwave that was in the unit was about this size, I don't know, 2 feet. It was a larger size microwave. And there was a hot plate, which we didn't use. It was very old and dirty. The balcony issue had a heavy level of just mold and slime, and nobody had cleaned it. So I cleaned it for safety. Sean Raffington, who I found out has already settled up a breach of contract regarding the issues with working with Mr. Akbar, he possibly has a higher amount of weight than Mr. Akbar or I. So his concerns about stepping onto the balcony were relational to his size, But I think within the parameters of a normal American constituency, we should possibly have one that the manager would feel safe walking out onto. And it was, the balcony itself was on a sort of like I think it was the bathroom of Mark below the man who hit the ceiling. And we definitely wouldn't want to fall through his bathroom. The issues with odor, I thought, were the most curious because they are the most difficult to prove. But my understanding about what the problem is with this building is it was a Victorian construction. I believe it's a 1911 or something like that. And it appears that maybe they had only one functional bathroom downstairs, or maybe they were expected to use receptacles of an old-fashioned kind. So when the plumbing was added on with the conversion of this into a multi-unit dwelling, the piping was on the outside and included a venting up above. So there was odor from the breakage down below where they boarded it up to prevent the vermin entry, which the struggles with killing vermin was more of a downstairs thing compared to mine. I did not see vermin in my unit. Once they boarded that up and fixed the piping, which I sent in some of the pictures of the broken piping, the odor problem, to our knowledge, involved the high tower pipes on the 3-story building being lower than the attic window, which would blow a billowing sewage smell into the 3rd-story attic apartment, and then blow billowing sewage smell into the 2 units, Unit 5 and Unit 6, which were Summer Moss and myself. There were many ways we dealt with that, including which way the wind's blowing, opening the windows at certain times and not others, and trying to get the right airflow to blow the sewage smell out and not in. Sometimes when you walk up the landing, which is a very narrow stairwell, to the top of the 2nd floor, the whole area would be permeated with a sewage smell. I would layer a blanket because sometimes if Jackie left her window open, the sewage smell would come in through her apartment and then sneak through her door and fill up this little vestibule. It would combine with marijuana smoke. And originally I thought, well, it's just marijuana. Leslie V. Pond encouraged me that she supports the use of the herb, and so therefore would be of no assistance on the heavy quantities of marijuana that were coming into my apartment. And I spoke with Mr. Akbar about that issue because I understand with the legalization, it's more of a comfort factor, but I wanted him to know for his safety and fire safety that there was a heavy amount of smoking there. And I'm very pleased if crystal meth is no longer sold there, which I have information that years ago, that was a crystal meth place back in the fourplex. So I appreciate Mr. Akbar's efforts to rehabilitate the building. There have been some substantial improvements in the bathroom. One thing about the bathroom that might be worth pointing out on either set of pictures is the heater by the side of the shower. The shower itself is very, very small and very narrow and hard to fit in. And due to there being no kitchen, all dishwashing would take place at the hand sink. And the previous manager, who I assume to be Patrick or Mike Royale, somebody who was male probably had urinated excessively into the corner of the sloping bathroom floor. And when the apartment was having the lock change, which meant all units had new locks all of a sudden that the owners had, and our hand lock on the lower, not the deadbolt, but the lower handle lock was taken out in our unit. I told Leslie, man, I can't, the smell of this building, we've got this urine's caked into the linoleum. It really needs to be done. The floors are sagging. The issue with the dripping down below, that would be in the new manager, if he is still the new manager. In some texts, I misspelled his name as Severino or Seriano. I believe it is something close to that. But he's listed in the managerial contract. I went down there with him, and we confirmed multiple times that my showering led to some leak, which I could not see with my eyes because I believed it to be in pipes under the floor, were leaking through the wooden framing, which it was almost like a Finnish sauna in terms of wood.
Could I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Mr. Akbar said that the pictures that depict the hole and and the drain in the kitchen area of the lower apartment. Do you agree that that was not the leak
That was not the leak from
the bathroom?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. I just want to make sure we're clear on that.
And
Thank you.
the reasons I took those pictures were that numerous of the workers were coming to me saying, this is a fire trap, this is a hazard to the whole building, this is a hazard to our health, and I hope, I cross my fingers and hope that it's better. And I do know it was a point of contention with the rent hikes that Severino was withholding the rent hike contingent on getting this whole catastrophe fixed. The man who lived in the windowless pantry, which is not a real bedroom, was living primarily on the couch on the porch, which at first I thought it was kind of uncomfortable. Then I spoke to him. I realized, oh, he's a completely nice guy. He's just in this predicament of having his ceiling falling in, moldy carpets. You can't breathe. They've got rats in the kitchen, the ceiling falling in, and my bathroom leaking. I was told by the person in Unit 1